right, and welcome everyone. This is the AstroTarot Show, and this is for the week of June the 14th through June the 21st. We're going to have a lot of activity this month, or this week, I should say. And well, even this month, June is a very active month, period. But this week, we're going to have some intense energy. We're going to have some planetary movement. We're going to have our new moon, and then we're going to have the summer solstice, which is midsummer. So we've got a lot to talk about, and we're going to have some intense energy, so be prepared for that. It's going to be a lot of fast energy too. So without further ado, let's get into it, right? Well, we have Mercury. He's finally made his way into his home sign of Gemini. He moved into Gemini on June the 11th, and he will be there until June the 26th. Yes, that's a very, very short stay. But again, you know, Mercury is our fast messenger, right? And when he is in Gemini, that he is moving very, very quickly. He's got a lot of energy. He's got a lot of information, a lot of different things that he's got to get done. Now, on the 15th, he is going to have a square with Saturn, and Saturn is still in Pisces. And this is going to bring some restrictive type of energy, but he will work through it quickly. Mercury, let's talk about him for just a second. Mercury is known as the messenger of the gods. Yes. He is the one in charge of communication, technology, emails, different kinds of, ideas, different means of communication. He's also the god of merchandise, marketing, and the mercantile kind of energy. And when he is when he is in his home sign of Gemini, he's really feeling good. And his other sign is Virgo. So that's a kind of, really, really different energy. Whereas Gemini is kind of that, moving very quickly and going at a fast pace. Gemini is Virgo is an earth sign. So it's a little bit different energy. Now, the square with Saturn is going to cause us a little bit of bumps, but again, he's moving quickly. So, he's not going to let that stop. Now, Saturn is the planet of restrictions, and this could be, he is the planet of boundaries. So there could be some restrictions within communications, and even with business-wise, like the exchange of money. Saturn in Pisces is about dissolving boundaries as well. So with this combination that we're seeing, we could have a little bit of, you could see more power over curbing communication, as well as tainting the information, such as misinformation. So Pisces is the sign of self-undoing. So we could see a lot of misinformation being circled around, things that will put a lid over communication to try to stop that. So we could see some of that. Now, I will say that Saturn brings structure to the structureless. So, he does have his good points. He brings structure there. So this could be one of dissolving that and creating that kind of the illusion type of energy, so that we can have more of to rebuild a bigger, stronger foundation. So yeah, we can see this, and when we look at these, we have to look back in time. We have to look back at what these cycles represent, but we'll get on to more into that in just a moment. I will say that, Pisces, he can show, Saturn can show Pisces the importance of structure, whereas it helps to structure helps build a solid foundation. When we are working in a structured, more focused way, we are more able to learn more because we are more focused on it. It's like a discipline. So another thing, another note here is that Juno is in the sign of Gemini, and she is the goddess of sacred vows. She is about commitments and love. She was the faithful wife. And she's been in Gemini since May the 2nd, and she will leave on June the 22nd. So with Mercury coming into Gemini along with Juno, we could see some commitments, marriages, different agreements and partnerships that could come about. Those sort of relationships, those making it, solidifying relationships. There you go. So on the new moon, on the 18th, we will have quite a lineup in Gemini, and we will have the sun, the moon, Mercury, and Juno, and that is a new moon, so that is a new beginning, and we could see that could be, new agreements, new business opportunities, new partnerships, those types of situations that require commitment and require loyalty, right? So this is very new beginning energy, maybe even some new deals being brokered up. We know that we have a lot of things that's going on right now in our world to where, we need to work some deals out and kind of settle some energy there. Now, one thing that is really, really beneficial for this is Venus in Leo, and she is going to have a sextile with Mercury. So this will be bringing some sweet energy to the mix. This will be happening in the United States birth chart, within the 9th house of the foreign lands and shores. So with that, maybe we could see some deals being brokered for peace. Venus wants peace and love and compassion and understanding. So maybe we could see some of this happen. She is bringing some very sweet energy to this. And so this is going to be very good for Mercury because with his square with Saturn, he's in a combatant type of energy. So whereas, Mercury in Gemini is pushing forward and he's trying to go through, but then he is met with Saturn, and a square is one where they're squaring off. It's like you're squaring off eye to eye. So with Venus coming into that, there could be some great developments that will occur. So that is some really good energy that we need. Venus wants peace, love, understanding, all of that good stuff. And she wants to give all this to everybody. She wants to give this to the world. So hopefully that can help the energy. On the 19th, Jupiter will have a sextile with Saturn as well. Now, this is a very rare energy, and this will help soothe some of Saturn's uneasiness as well. Saturn is in Jupiter's old sign of Pisces. Yeah, at one time, Pisces was Jupiter's sign, but, so while he is in Pisces and having this sextile with Jupiter, he is willing to work and to negotiate. He is more inclined to please Jupiter, and Jupiter is the joyous god. He's the good god, right? So who doesn't want to be in his good favor? You want to be in that joyous god's good favor. So yeah, we can see some settling down here. by the 17th, Saturn will, and during this time, Saturn is stationing. So if you look at a chart, you would see an S by Saturn. That means he's stationing and he's getting ready to presume his retrograde motion. And on the 17th, that is when he will presume his retrograde motion. Now, when he is a retrograde, he's a different kind of energy. He's not too pushy. So with this, he's like the old sage, you know, he's like that, the old man that lives by himself, that offers up the wonderful advice. He's very patient. He's very realistic. He loves solitude. So if you're thinking about that kind of sage, you know, I guess in today's, you would see, I know a lot of people are into the Lord of the Rings, so you would see Dumbledore, or maybe if you're into Star Wars, it would be like Obi-Wan Kenobi. So that kind of thing. So, you know, and he is about, you know, this is the energy of someone that loves his solitude, loves his space. And so this is, you know, he wants to create those new foundations. He does want to create and he wants to grow, but it's going to be in a conservative and hardworking manner. You know, Saturn is like the father, and he understands that to truly understand and appreciate the journey, one has to experience it. And the only way that you can experience it is through living it and, you know, breathing it, eating it, you know, walking through every path, every step that you're given, because there is knowledge within each of those, you know, we like to call them struggles. Oh, this is struggles and challenges, but these are lessons. These are all about growing within the human experience. So, like I've stated before, you know, it's always best to kind of look back in time at what was going on before, to get an idea of the energy that we'll be having. So, Pisces from 1993 to 1996. So this will be touching on some of that energy that happened at that time. We can look back. That's what we do. We look back at these different cycles and these different patterns that these aspects and these connections, what did they produce? What happened at that time? And we look at society, we see what went on, that sort of thing. So, you know, look back at your life. What were you going through in 1993 through 1996? I know my life was a whirlwind. My life changed completely. You know, getting married, having a child, and moving to a different country, all of that. It was just, you know, rush, rush, rush. It was crazy. So this will be, you can look at your time and your life and see what was going on. You know, the important thing I want to touch on here is that during that time, he went retrograde 3 times. So there was a lot of going back and having to re-examine some things. And, you know, the best thing about Saturn being retrograde is that he's not so rough. You know, his edges are a little rounded because he's understanding the patience that, you know, that we need. Sometimes it takes us a moment to realize the certain patterns that we don't need to repeat. The certain decisions, you know, we can look back at our life and look at the decisions that we made at that time and learn from them. And that's the biggest thing. It's about learning from that past to not do it again. So it just, you know, and Jupiter is expansion, and Saturn is restriction. So we'll see this go back and forth. This will be, you know, the next time this will happen will be in 2083. And, you know, again, Saturn is going to be not as rough, and he's going to be willing to work with Jupiter on this. It reminds me of Carl Jung, there's no come into consciousness without pain kind of thing. And isn't that the truth? Now, Another thing we're having, and I want to get through this quickly because I want to cover as much as we can in our short time together. On the 18th, we will have our Gemini New Moon at 12:37 a.m. and that's Eastern time. Remember, I'm on the East Coast, so all the time I will give is in Eastern time zone. You will have to adjust for your part of the world. The sun and the moon will meet up at 26 degrees and 43 minutes of Gemini. So you could round that up to 27, which is a 9, which is about a completion. 9 is about, you know, working hard, and you reach this place to where you've kind of like a plateau, and it's about enjoying the fruits of your labor, enjoying number 9. I always go to the 9 of Cups. I always do that because it's about, or even the 9 of Pentacles, you know, that sort of thing, that sort of energy. Now, Gemini themes in our lives are, it's very cerebral. It's very much in your head. So that will be something you'll have to watch out for. And, you know, around the new moon time is kind of come out of your head a little bit. You know, Gemini energy is very inquisitive energy. And sometimes, you know, everybody likes to say, you know, curiosity killed the cat, but the rest of that is satisfaction brought it back. So we have to also understand the fine lines between learning and going on an adventure than jumping down an endless rabbit hole that's going to lead us nowhere. We can't be distracted. So Gemini energy is really good for distraction. So be careful with that. Also, short-term travel is highlighted. At this time, you know, we will also, the energy of looking at our daily life, everything we do, going to work, our errands that we run, life, you know, just all of the things that our mundane life consists of. And this is also connected to our local environment as well. Those things that we surround ourselves with. So this will be a perfect time to plant intentions for things that we want to do in different ways as well. You know, looking back again, we're at like I stated, that 20, I rounded it up to 27, which is a 9. So that 9 degrees, that is looking back, and it's kind of like a harvest, so to speak. So a new moon is going inside and looking within. So we're looking at what we have worked with, what we have done, what we did we succeed with it? Did it not turn out? I don't like to say fail because, you know, you just keep going, right? You keep going till you figure it out. So that's what we're being advised to do, is that we have to take this in, and we got to keep out of our head some and just take it in and feel this, bring it inward. Look at what we've done, look at what we've learned. Are we really, you know, challenges aren't good unless we learn the lessons from them. We don't waste our time when we are learning from it. So we have to understand and get on board with that. This energy is cleaning up what we have left unfinished. This could mean communications and different understandings of our priorities. You know, we were coming in and saying, you know what, this is where I've got distracted. This is where I was off course, and I have to put myself back on this. So that is, you know, that sort of thing, our everyday life, right? And we can get distracted. We have a lot of distractions in our world. We need to reprioritize and remember what's important. Now, on the 21st, the sun will move into the sign of Cancer at 10:58 a.m. Eastern time, and that marks the summer solstice, or it's Midsummer, or Litha. Mars will also sextile Mercury at 11:23 a.m. the same day. So there is going to be a nice flow in between the god of war and the god of communication. Again, this is highlighting the deal-making energy. So for this solstice, we're looking at what is now coming into our awareness. what have we learned? What do we need to do? What do we need to change? What do we need to do differently? How can we be intentional with going forward in our life and on our journey? This placement is opposite of the galactic center that sets at 26 degrees of Sagittarius. So this area, that area of our galaxy that's our galactic center. So it's very receptive. Okay. And it is the center of our energy streams. So we could be integrating some things and some understandings about what's going on in our life, you know, bringing new understandings to some things that's happened, you know, just it's expansive energies, but it's wanting us to look at things from a higher perspective. It wants us to move up. It wants us to grow. And Sagittarius, its planet is Jupiter. Jupiter is in Taurus. So, and look at all I just described that Jupiter is going through right now. So we're seeing a lot of, it's time to evolve and grow and go past some of the pettiness. It's time to grow. Deals need to be brokered. You know, we need to learn, look at it from a higher perspective. This energy wants us to open up to a bigger and a higher meaning to life, rather than the just mundane physicality of it. We need to look above. So the thing about Gemini energy is it's very fast, and it can get really scattered, and you can lose track of things. So be very, very careful. Mercury and in Gemini adds to our activities as well. And it adds to a lot of mental stimulation. On the solstice at 2:24 a.m., Mercury will have a square with Neptune at 27 degrees and 38 minutes of Pisces. And this can cause some confusion. This is also removal energy, and it can make you feel like, you know what, I just don't want to do this anymore. This is just not who I am. This is just not feeding me. And what do I need to focus on now? Neptune reminds us to tap into our intuition, because, you know, Gemini wants us to stay in the mind. But logically, you know, we may see things logically, but we know our intuition is telling us that there's something missing. Listen to what your intuition and what your body is saying. This could be, you know, it's telling us to pull back and rest some. Here we're being asked to rise above the confusion and to see things in a different way, to rise above that mundane and to see it higher. We are being, you know, we are really being pulled up to see things in a higher perspective. You know, Neptune always tells us that there's something that's hidden. There's something being hidden from us. Although we may be, you know, in our head, we're like, okay, but then our intuition is saying there's something missing here. There's something that's not right. There's something that's going on. There's something else that we need to consider, and that we need to really, you know, let it marinate within us so we can digest it and understand it. You know, Saturn in this mix, it really gives you that mental surrender that something needs to leave. There is something that is just not feeding the soul anymore. Something that's just, you know, you thought that would work out, and you thought that it would just, you know, kind of work itself out, but it's not. It's something that we're having to come to terms with. And with Jupiter's conjunction to the North Node, this is really trying to show us the way forward. It's trying to get us that that we need to move forward. Venus and Mars are both in Leo right now, and they're about 3 to 5 degrees apart from each other. So we can, pretty much say that it is a conjunction. They represent our divine lovers, the divine masculine and feminine of our skies. This is also the part of ourselves. They represent the masculine and the feminine energies within us. And this is something that we need to harmonize for our journey ahead. Venus will retrograde in July. Her shadow begins at 12 degrees of Leo. So, she's going to go back and have to do some work on herself. We will talk about that later. Mercury will be having a sextile with Venus, and that will show us and it will show us that, what we have been giving our energy to, our life force energy to, is it feeding us or is it not? Mars is leading the way here. He is in front of all of the personal planets, and he is paving the way. He's doing what that leader does. He's being that wonderful leader, and he is helping the divine feminine, just what the God is supposed to do, provide that protection, that structure for the divine feminine to come out and to grow. Venus is very happy. And, in Leo, she's able to see what makes her heart happy as well. Our next full moon is going to be in Capricorn. So this is going to give us, this is going to be kind of a different twist. We will be having a great big assessment of what we have been learning. And this will be very practical energy and have us looking forward to long-term goals and to long-term future of how is this going to work out for us in practical ways. This energy is just really going to make us quit all of the, quit those things that are sucking the life out of us and, what is not supporting our highest good, so that we can open ourselves up to what does feed us and what does enrich our life force energy. So yeah, so you can see this new moon is going to be very beneficial. It's going to be a wonderful time to manifest, to set your intentions. And this, the new moon followed by the summer solstice, midsummer, Litha, that is when the sun god is at his zenith. So this is truly, truly a month of the human transmigration of the soul. So one of enlightenment that will either help us to evolve or to descend. So that will be our greatest feat there. Will we go forward or will we go backward? So what a powerful and strong month June will be. So that is it for the recording. Excuse me. Getting a dry throat there. I do apologize. So that is it for the AstroTarot Show. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. Please stay tuned for the next part of the show, which is the tarot part. And I will see you all next time. Merry part.